Welcome to TLC for the Soul podcast, where soul meets spirit. You have entered into sacred space. I'm your host, Tammy Lynn Chambers, and I'm here to help you shine. Now let's get going on this podcast journey.
Hello, friends. Hello, and welcome to the podcast. It's slightly windy today, and I went and forgot, but I didn't think I would need my other microphone. So I'm just working with the microphone on my phone, and hopefully it's not too windy. It's just breezy. I'll try to point the microphone away from the wind. Welcome. If you're new here, welcome. You're joining us for part 4 of Brighdy Isle. However, it's a very interesting part 4, and it, I believe, can pretty much stand alone if you haven't heard the rest of the story. If you're a returning listener, thank you so much for joining me yet again on another podcast episode. I have lots to share. Lots is up in the air here on the podcast and at TLC for the Soul. So let's get settled in and talk about what's going on right now. So you may just want to choose to listen and see if you vibe with our tribe. You may want to take your listening experience a step higher and join me around this sacred circle as I wrap us all in love light and light love. Inviting in the spirit guides who would like to join me here on this podcast journey as I gather around. I offer gratitude and thanks for the blessings, the guidance, the wisdom, the protection that they offer us. You want to take your listening experience an octave higher, you can invite in your own spirit guides, wisdom keepers, totems, familiars, whoever you work with, to join you here in Sacred Circle, to share with you any wisdom, knowledge, information that may be pertinent to you on your journey in this now. I'm recording this at a very pivotal time, but the information is timeless. It can support you whenever you find this episode, which is always the intention. This is being recorded on Sunday, April 25th, the day before the Wesak, Buddha, or Pink Scorpio full moon. Right about maybe less than a week away from Beltane here in the Northern Hemisphere, or Samhain, down under. Lots is going on. If you've been following us on Brighdy Isle, because I think some people may follow certain series rather than the whole podcast. If you've been following the Brighdy Isle story, it all started with the April energy forecast, talking about surprises for the month and going in deep and lots of emotion coming up. And I don't think we're finished yet. April is not over yet if you're catching this when it drops. Lots more to come. But the guides are saying it's good stuff, okay? So there's this feeling of magic coming in. So I feel the air elementals. My mouth was going to say earth, and my mind was saying earth, and my mouth said air. So like higher self taking over. Air elementals coming in to help shift things, along with the divine feminine experiencing a big, huge, major transformational shift right now. Whenever I get drawn into Maui, specifically Maui, although I love the islands in general, but whenever I get drawn to Maui, then it's always for me Lemuria calling and the divine feminine. So Sisters of the Rose, Goddess Sophia, all of that energy coming in to support us. It's not to say that the divine masculine is not being supported. I'm going to share what I know and what I don't know yet, because lots of changes are happening at TLC for the Soul as well. And it's all reflected in this week's story of Brighdy Isle. So Brighdy Isle was supposed to be the place we could go during this month of April when we needed respite from the storm, be it the wave of emotions, the tsunami of feelings, the possible anxiety, whatever you were feeling that was like too much. You were being guided to also meditate, like a meditation, very key. But Brighdy Isle was this etheric home you could go to, your little like kind of deserted isle, magical isle where you could hang out. And that's where Dakar and Abigail have been this month on Brighdy Isle. Like the whole month. Well, it took us the whole month to get here, for them. They've only been there like overnight so far. But the last episode, there was a big storm. They had to spend the night, which is exactly what the spirits of the Isle wanted them to do to help them get. There's a lot of coming up. It feels like a Mercury retrograde, although, oh my gosh, it's not here yet, but it's coming up soon. I think it's later on in May, along with eclipse season in May. But there's a lot of stuff going on right now it's starting with this Scorpio full moon, this Wesak full moon. Rebirth, reassignment is another big one. And remembering. So going deeper into the remembering of who you are and why you're here. So I'm going to read the story, which is very short. I'll just share kind of what happened as the backstory. Yesterday, I was just listening to different, YouTubers that I follow. I don't follow a whole lot. I keep it very kind of limited. Unless something pops up in my feed that I'm supposed to look at, then I might explore something new. But I kind of keep it very high vibe and stick to just certain ones. And I don't even know how it wasn't even a revelation. I don't even know what it was, but Spirit came in. And when I say Spirit, it's all encompassing. It's we are all one. When I say Spirit, it's like Source, God energy steps down through the etheric realms, through the angels, through your guides. Like it's all coming from Source. But it's sometimes easier to resonate with it when it's not like just Source, this big light in the sky. So for me, I've been working a lot with Archangel Metatron, and I got this I swear I'm telling you, I don't even know where it came from, but it was kind of like TLC for the soul, like not even just TLC for the soul, but like my whole life was becoming more focused in a particular area of work, a particular track, I want to say. And I've been asking for about a week or so now, like, how can I serve? What can I do now? And so this may be coming up for you as well. So let's read the story first so you can understand what's happening there. Spirits are going through something similar, and as with all these stories, they pertain to things that are going on in our lives. They they portend or possibly foreshadow or dive into things that are happening for you through the metaphors and meanings of the story. If you're new here, these are all channeled via stream of consciousness or automatic writing from Source down through the guides, the angels, the spirits of these stories onto the page through automatic writing. So I never know what's coming next. And yesterday I didn't even have anything written. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm getting behind again, which is not really true. It's like I'm always where I'm supposed to be. I'm not behind. I hadn't written anything yet for this story. And I'm like, why have I not written anything yet? What's happening with Brighdy Isle? And right, like later in the evening last night, I was like, well, I want to record. And I asked Spirit, I'm like, am I not supposed to record tomorrow? And they're like, nope, you are. And I was like, okay, well, I don't have anything. And it's like, well, write something. So I'm like, okay. So I sat down and I wrote this chapter, and it was very tied into what had just been shared with me by Archangel Metatron. And I was like, okay, I kind of get it, and I kind of don't. And I'll just, let me just read this first. So when we last left off in chapter 7, the fairies, the elves, the Jinkontoi, the one I can't say, like, they're trying to make me laugh because this is not so serious, you guys, okay? Sometimes I get super serious about it. I'm like, oh my God. And it's supposed to be fun. All these things are happening for us. Even though it may feel a little bit weird, it feels a little bit weird. The energy right now feels a little bit surreal to me and a little bit weird. But the deer, stags, fae friends all stepped forward. The spirits of the Isle were happy to be there, speaking to the folks from the mainland. So Dakar and Abigail were there. They had heard so much about Dakar and Abigail, and at the end of chapter 7, it was time to reveal their secret plans and ask for assistance from the bringers of the light. They hoped that Abigail and Dakar could help step the plan down into reality, is kind of what I'm getting from that. And as the plan was laid out, the bringers of the light, the Spectre and Book Coven, and others like yourselves would play a magical part. So now I kind of understand more about what that means. So when we left last episode, I was kind of like, well, what does that mean? Like, what's this plan and where's it headed? And I thought I kind of knew where it was headed. I thought it had to do with this lighthouse that Abigail had seen in her visions over on Rockaway Point. But the lighthouse was very unclear. And the lighthouse really is a metaphor for light work, being a light worker, working on behalf of the bringers of the light. So that's kind of where that was going. So let's dive into chapter 8, A New Path Revealed, and then I will go into my diatribe of what I feel like this all means for us. Abigail was nervous about this new plan. She felt big change would come with the assignment, and she wasn't sure if she could take it on by herself. So the spirits of the Isle, the bringers of the light, are sharing all this new plan with Abigail and Dakar. The last hour had been spent in conference on the Isle with Dakar, Jinkontoi, and friends, as well as higher light beings and the High Core. And High Core is Dakar's kind of quote-unquote boss at the bringers of the light. Based on this latest information, their work for the bringers of the light would take a new turn. How did we get here? Abigail thought to herself. This is the surrealism I'm talking about. 1 minute, we're eating sandwiches and drinking hot tea with the Fae, and the next, we're being downloaded with a whole new instruction set, which is exactly how it felt to me last night before I channeled this story. Abigail felt there would be a ripple effect to these changes and could only hope and pray that it would be a positive one for all concerned. Of course it would be positive, she chided herself, since when would her guides and the higher light councils ever download anything that would not be for the highest good of all? So they're reassuring us this is coming from source. This is not some weird turn of events that's redirecting you on some path that's not your path. So we can kind of let go of the anxiety there, because I was feeling it. Dakar was sitting off to the side with Jinkontoi and High Core, and a secret plan was being drawn up. Abigail was to remain unaware of some of the more challenging details. That's a little weird right there. I don't know why that's coming up. She had her own work to do. Okay, we've got our own work to do, Divine Feminine. So the Divine Masculine's getting reassigned, getting some reassignments. And we've talked before. Where have we talked about this? Oh, we've talked about it in Sisters for the Sword. So if you also follow Sisters for the Sword, we've talked about the work the masculine does is sometimes things that the feminine can hold space for, but may not be things that the feminine is always able to handle because of the nature of the work. This is where we're going in Sisters for the Sword. So if you haven't heard Sisters for the Sword yet, it's another episode. It's another series here on the podcast. We are only into 2 episodes there. You have time to get caught up if you want to follow along there. But that is our work with Avalon and Merlin and the Bringers of the Light. So Abigail was to remain unaware of some of the more challenging details, which maybe that's thankfully so. Maybe we don't want to know some of what the masculine's got going on. And I'm not talking about like in their 3D world. I'm not talking about stuff like that. Like I feel like people's minds are going to jump to, oh no, the masculine is, doing something behind the scenes in the 3D world that's secretive and I'm not supposed to know about it. Be it, whatever. Something you want to really know about, or it's like a surprise, or something you don't really want to know about, like, deception. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the divine masculine's work in the astral realms and the 5D work that they do on behalf of the light. It's just, some of it is just, you might not, if you've got a really strong heart, like most of our masculines do, you can handle that, knowing what those things are. But I shared in Sisters for the Sword, like the divine masculine that I'm working with, when I was shown some of the work that they were doing, just a small snippet, I was like so just disgusted. I just couldn't even handle it. So Abigail has her own work to do. She doesn't have to know about those details. So she sat waiting, as they had asked her to do, for her upgraded instructions. So I feel like this is where the feminine is at right now. And I said I was going to read and then parlay, but it sounds like they want me to interject. So the feminine right now is being downloaded. This is just what happened with Sisters for the Sword. If we're following the story, Melanie and Marissa, the twins that came up in the Sisters for the Sword story, were being downloaded with this new secret instruction set of their new quest that they were supposed to go on. And it's upgraded, but the Spirit is calling this upgraded instructions. So it's for our highest and best good. It's what we've been asking for to move us forward. And for some of us, it's pushing us forward. So I'm going to just finish this and then I'll go into that. Abigail only hoped the angels of destiny, karma, and fate hurried along to deliver her new assignment. For these changes in their work were not random and were coming straight from source to the higher light councils. It was time for a change and an upgrade for all the hard work that the couple had been doing. Abigail tried to remain patient, but it was hard for her to just sit there and wait. Where was she supposed to go? What was she supposed to do? And why did Dakar seem to be getting all this information while she sat by and was asked to wait? Again, all she could do was wait patiently. So she decided to walk around the little aisle and see what she could find. Okay, so these downloads, this rejiggering, is happening for you, not to you, and it's something that you're really going to like, okay? So why the divine masculine? The divine masculine, it's like a separation of sorts. So it's like twin souls in separation in a sense, but they're not, okay? Because Abigail and Dakar, she said Abigail had been feeling for the past few months, Dakar had been feeling like they were separate from each other, that they weren't interacting as much as they could have or should have. And then they were brought to the aisle by Spirit, to Brighdy Isle, and they reconnected, and they realized, like, I guess we never really were apart. Maybe we were just kind of doing our own things, working on our own stuff, and they realized that their love is even stronger than it was before. So it has nothing to do with their relationship changing. It's like, it does, but it doesn't. And because I don't have all of the details yet, because I haven't gotten the entire download yet, I'm having to be patient and kind of understand and explain to you all best I can in this moment what this means. So if you've come to this podcast and you're not, listening to it at this full moon in Scorpio time, it doesn't matter. This just could be where you're at in your own personal journey right now. But where I understand it to be for where we're at right now and what it means personally. So last night I was sitting there, and I don't even know, like I said, how this revelation came, except that I've been asking, like, how can I better serve? And over on Instagram, even on the podcast, if you've been with me for a while, you may have noticed that slowly Spirit has been shifting my work, and I feel like I've been resistant to it, and I don't know why I'm resistant to it. Maybe because I feel like it's limiting me in some way, but they're saying that it's unlimiting me. I don't know how to say it. So the other day I tried to do a reading, and I just wanted to do a reading for the collective and get messages for everybody. And I kept being drawn back to the twin flame journey, the twin heart journey. I'm just, whatever. You guys know what I mean. If you've been here a while, you know what I mean. There's sometimes not a label. It's sometimes a feeling and not a label, but we have to put a label so people know what we're talking about. I kept getting drawn back to twin flames and separation, and more, every time I do something, it's got that slant on it, or that focus. I guess slant's not a good word, maybe focus. And in my last Instagram reading, I even said, I'm trying, you guys, to get messages, and I just keep getting drawn to this reading. And last night, Spirit said, Archangel Metatron said, your focus right now, your main focus, it doesn't mean you don't branch into it, but my main focus, so for a while my main focus was starseeds and light language, which light language still is, but starseed work. And my main focus now is going to be helping people on the twin flame, twin hearts, soulmate journey, whatever you want to call it. Finding your one. I've been asked, I've been reassigned, I want to do it. It just feels weird to me, I don't know why it feels so weird. And so I asked, is this just my work? And they're like, no, this is your entire life, is shifting to the twin flame track. Your entire life journey is on the twin flame track now. And I was like, okay, thanks. I don't know what that means entirely, but all right. And I have personal reasons why I feel like I don't know what that means right now. Mainly because the person that I would call my twin flame, someone I've never met. But it's someone I talk to all the time in the 5D. I've talked to him telepathically, which is different than talking to somebody in the 5D. So I know him telepathically. I know his energy anywhere, but I know him telepathically, and I know him in the 5D. But from a telepathic perspective, we're in separation right now. We are not speaking to each other telepathically. And that was something that, and typically I wouldn't share this. I was keeping this very private and personal, because I am in a karmic relationship right now. And, that's just where it is. That's what it is. That's just the truth of it. And so I want to honor and respect all parties involved, but I also want to, I'm here to serve. And so I have to do that in a way that, this is real life, so that other people in similar situations can understand and maybe benefit from this information. And so that you feel like Spirit's saying, so you feel like you're not going crazy, because I feel like on this journey, and they're saying it's time for me to open up about some of this. On this journey, you can feel like you're going crazy. What do you mean I'm telepathically talking to someone? You can feel like you're all alone out there, not, and it can feel surreal, and you can kind of question at times, is this really happening? And there are so many twin flame couples that are supposed to, power couples, and couples that are supposed to come into union and into alignment, and over the course of the next 4 years, that they need more light, where I'm getting chills, that they need more light workers to step in and help out with this transition. Because the more you believe, the more you are in a state of receptivity for this to come in for you, because a lot of you haven't met this person yet. So the more you are believing that this is a real journey, then the more you will magnetize your chosen one, your other, to you. And believe me, there are higher levels of reason behind bringing twin flames into union. It's not just so you can be in union and be happy and be together. I'm just getting chills. Chills is my confirmation. So it's not just that, although that's a beautiful reward for the couple itself. But the higher, think about if you've ever worked in corporate or whatever, the higher ups always have a bigger overarching reason for the work that you, the person in the cubicle, were doing, right? And the overarching reason is the big soul missions that these twin flame couples have on Gaia, on our planet, for this, whatever you want to call it, new Lemuria, new Atlantis, whatever, new Earth, quote unquote new Earth, and raising the consciousness of humanity. The work is exponentially brighter and more powerful with a twin flame couple than it is with the twins in separation doing work by themselves. Not that that's not important, but the frequency just, I've talked about this before, that the twin flame couple becomes its own Stargate when you are merged, when you're in union, and becomes exponentially more powerful. So I've been on this twin flame journey quite some time now. I'm consciously aware of what it is and on it since I think it started in it's probably started long before that. But with my twin, understanding that I had a twin, who my twin was, etherically since like 2018. So I have lots and lots to share, and I do get very excited about it. But if that's not for you, if that's not your path, then I feel like, people will start to fall away from the podcast and from, my following, because I'll be bringing in people who need to hear this information. So that's not for you. Totally understand that. Believe me, because for the longest time I heard twin flame stuff and I'm like, that's not for me. And I just kind of pushed it aside. So I totally understand that, like, the tribe might change, the community, the podcast family might, change, and we might have people dropping off and new people coming in. Totally okay with that. Same for you. All right. If this is your journey, then welcome. I have lots to share, lots of experience, lots of things that are going to blow your mind about the journey. But that's what I was saying about getting into it, is I was a little bit reticent when Archangel Metatron said that, like, twin flame is your journey. It's like your entire life path now. And I was like, whoa, take it back, because my twin and I are in, I want to call it like forced separation because of, just some things that I won't share about what was happening in our relationship. But yeah, that's more like stuff I'll share with private clients. But needless to say, we were speaking telepathically like a lot every day. Not like so much that I couldn't get my work done, but I mean, we would meet and we would talk in the mornings and stuff, and we would kind of like talk about our day, and then we would kind of like talk telepathically at the end of the day. And I didn't question it at all. It totally felt right to me. So if you're in a telepathic quote unquote communion with someone, that's something that we can explore more on the channel. But when I was asked by Spirit to completely pull my energy back from this person, that was a huge, major shock for me. And it was basically like going into separation, and it felt just as probably heart-wrenching and ripping my heart out as it would have felt if I had known this person just like physically face to face. It was probably even more so. So I understand what it's like to be in separation. I understand all of that. But when spirits jumped in like, you're going to do this work, I'm like, but I'm in separation. I'm not a twin flame in union right now. How am I? And they're like, you have enough to be dangerous. You have enough to be dangerous, and you're going to keep moving forward. And obviously I won't be in separation forever, right? So I'm still processing what that means for me. Like, what does that mean? I'm just waiting like Abigail. I'm just trying to be patient. And you may be getting similar downloads, okay? You may just be here for the story, and you may just be like, yeah, I still would follow you, but I don't care about the twin flame stuff, but I like the stories, or I like all this. And so you may be being reassigned in your own life. And I'm trying to bring in collective messages as well as twin flame messages, but you'll just hear that the focus is really twin flame focused. If you are also wanting like another, I don't like to say light worker anymore. It just feels like that's a compromised term. But if you want another, who I'm going to call bringer of the light, who shares similar information, and I watch her every day. She also does stuff collective, but it's all pretty much twin flame focused. She is a twin flame in union. It's Liz with Guided by Angels over on YouTube. So you guys, I would just say be patient. If you've reached this podcast episode, you've heard me talk about what's going on, then you were meant to hear this. Be patient with yourselves as you receive the downloads of what all this means for you. It does feel surreal to me in a sense. It just feels like it's like this bifurcation of worlds I was talking about in the last Sisters for the Sword episode. We're doing work with Merlin right now on Avalon. We're supposed to I'll probably be doing another episode tomorrow because we're going to bring in Mordred, the Dark Knight, and work with him. But Merlin, I trans-channeled Merlin in the last Sisters for the Sword, and he was talking about the bifurcation of worlds becoming even more evident now, and that they want to raise the octave of Avalon into even the higher realms that it is now, and they're asking for the Divine Feminine's assistance with that. And so we're in the middle of that work as well. And so I would say that's kind of my main focus right now is the Twin Flame journey and the Sisters for the Sword work with Avalon. And the books I'm still writing books. I'm still writing stories. I delved into ASMR sleep stories the other day, and I was kind of like, I don't know if I like doing this because I don't like whispering and talking so softly. It's just not me. And I don't have the right equipment to do that right now. So maybe one day we'll come back to that. But I do have a really fun After Dark series that is starting. I do want to play with that some more. I wrote in something with Claudius again. So if you followed the podcast for a while, Soul Shift is one of the most listened to episodes on the podcast. Soul Shift, along with Rose and Sky, which is my Twin Flame episode from June of, gosh darn it, I don't even know now, 2019 maybe? Those are the most listened to episodes on the podcast, and we've got quite a few episodes out there now. We have over 100, no, I don't know. Maybe we don't have over 100. We're reaching almost 100. So that just tells me right there. So Claudius was a vampire in our Samhain episode way back in whenever it was we did that. And he's coming in to help balance out all the light, but in kind of a fun, lighthearted way. So he will be coming in. I'll be coming in with a new After Dark series, kind of like an 18 plus series on the podcast to share Claudius and the West End Coven series. I think you're going to like it. I wasn't sure. I channeled in about 4 chapters, and I was like, I left it, and then I came back to another day and read it, and I was laughing and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this. So lots of changes coming. Just be open to it. It's all for our best and highest good. And the best way to get these downloads, if you want to know, is not to like push against them. So like I said, I was kind of reticent in a way, like, why are you wanting me to do this? Like, it feels good, but it doesn't feel like do I want to completely buy into the fact that I'm like, I think it's like, I don't want to be this person that's like so heavily focused in one area, but they're like, just be calm about it and just trust that it's all going to work out. So that's what I'd say to you. And I'd say go out and have some fun. Get out in nature as much as you can. Just get outside. That's where the best downloads happen, when you're either like working out or doing something, sometimes on my yoga mat too, like, or when I'm not focused so much in my mind, when I'm doing repetitive tasks like washing dishes or something like that. But mainly for me, when I'm outdoors, if I'm walking around, then I get a lot of downloads. So that would be my suggestion if you want to, not that you have to hurry the process along, but if you want to make it easier on yourself and don't push against it so much with your mind, then the best way is to just kind of let it flow to you. Know that it's happening for you, not against you, even if it feels a little weird right now. It feels weird, but not in a bad way. It just feels weird, like in a what am I supposed to do now kind of way. Like you just totally came in and reassigned me, and now what? So it is a little bit of a void space, but trust that by, May the 1st for you listening to this when it drops. But that's like give or take about 5 or 6 days. So if you're listening to this after that, then trust that in about the next 5-6 days or so, you're going to have all the answers you need to move forward. So I'm going to leave it at that. Oh, I did want to share, last episode we had a Kara come through, and I said, oh, it's an eagle. And I went up later and looked up Kara, and it's from the falcon family. And I got a whole lot of good, juicy details about falcon's spirit animal. So if you are interested, I think that still applies, because I saw one again yesterday, and I'm seeing one right now flying around kind of, my goodness, there's a lot of birds. A lot of vultures coming in. So there's something dead over here. There has to be. There's a lot of vultures flying around right now. So vultures are all about clearing your energy. So get outside, clear your energy. If you're feeling nervous or anxious about any of these changes that are coming, which could happen at this full moon, this is a very, very powerful full moon. It's pushing out a lot of changes. A lot of weird dreams are happening. And I had some dreams last night where I've never died in a dream before, and I died in a dream last night, and I was like, this is very weird. And it was like, let me tell you, it was very weird. And I asked Archangel Metatron, what is this? And he said it's healing through catharsis, which is purging. So everything's fine. It just may feel a little bit weird. So keep your chakras cleared, keep your energy and your vibe high, go have some fun, get outside, and we will touch base again in the next episode, which should be Sisters for the Sword, and hopefully by then we'll have some more deets about what's going on for everybody. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening, and I will see you all again soon in the next podcast episode. Take care. Thank you for listening to this podcast. It has been brought to you by the Bringers of the Light, an etheric group of higher light beings focused on service to Gaia, humanity, and the self as it pertains to the spiritual journey. So they are here to support you on your path to love and to working with others. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care.